First tonight, the focus right now is, rightly so, on the cyclone threat. But it's proving to be the storm Anthony Albanese had not seen coming. Now, Sunday was set to be the day the Prime Minister called the federal election for April 12. It's also the day after the West Australian election where state Labor is set to comfortably win. Albo would have been banking on basking in the glory of another Labor victory there to start the firing gun on his own campaign. Now, the Prime Minister has left the door open to still call the election on Sunday or Monday, but how can he open the door with a cyclone barrelling down? You see, Anthony Albanese now finds himself in the middle of his own perfect storm. And not to take away from the seriousness of the system in Queensland, but the timing is a disaster for Anthony Albanese. If he doesn't go on Sunday or Monday, Labor may have to hand down a budget on March 25. Not a bad thing. I mean, the Treasurer will be forced to lay bare the real cost of Labor's big spend agenda and provide an economic outlook. So you can bet he and the Prime Minister would be doing all they can to avoid it. And Albo has already overseen the biggest spending increase for a first-term government since Gough Whitlam in the 1970s. And Labor has made more than $120 billion worth of discretionary spending decisions from its 3 budgets alone. And not to mention, we still don't know where the money is coming from for Albo's central election pitch of more than $8 billion for Medicare. There were, though, 2 hints, I believe, in the past 24 hours that the Prime Minister will avoid a budget and fire the starting gun in the next few days. Have a listen to this social media message Albanese put out, delivering a message to Queenslanders.
I know you're strong and you'll look out for your family, and Australians will look out for each other. And we'll be there for you every step of the way.
Authorised by Anthony Albanese, LP Canberra.
Notice the subtle Labor ad at the end there? We'll be there for you every step of the way. Really? Have you been there, Albo, every step of the way in 3 years? I don't think so. Suspicious timing, isn't it? So suspicious, in fact, he repeated it again today.
And we have, on behalf of the Australian government, we have your back.
And where have we heard that line before?
On behalf of the Australian government, we have your back. I want every Australian to know that when times are tough, we've got your back. We've got your back is our message. My message to them today is we've got your back.
There it is. It's his election slogan. It certainly sounds to me like a subtle starting gun. Now, an election must be called by May 17. You throw in Easter, Anzac Day and school holidays, the timing is certainly not ideal. It leaves May 3, 10 and 17. That's it. So the storm clouds are circling Albo as he decides which will do the least damage to his election bid. Face backlash if he calls it in the middle of a cyclone, or hand down a budget horror story. Now, as I said, I am by no means taking away from the ongoing seriousness of this cyclone. But I suspect many Australians don't care when the election is called, because everyday Aussies have been weathering their own storms since Albo came to power. And the anger towards the government's handling of the cost of living crisis shows in the polls. We were promised cheaper power bills. We were promised bill relief. We were promised a better future for all Australians. And yet we've been left out in the cold and exposed. If Albo does call an election after a budget on March 25, well, that could blow out into an extended campaign of 6 weeks. Labor has been in a pseudo-election campaign since the start of January. And can we really handle another 2 months of this?
Peter Dutton continues to be negative. Peter Dutton is divisive. Hang on. You go, and then we do it in order. Peter Dutton only has a plan of saying no. Hang on. It's not a one-on-one. Negative, divisive lines that Peter Dutton sprouts every day in Parliament. Peter Dutton's out there being negative. Hang on, there's other people here too.
Please. And voters don't typically favour long election campaigns, so this really is a disaster for Albo. Johannes Sleek in The Australian today summed it up perfectly in his cartoon. This one is called The Perfect Storm. Cost of living, national security, energy crisis, The Voice, immigration, housing, polls, anti-Semitism, you name it, all under Albo's watch. At least this one's not your fault, the SES says to Albo there, pointing to Cyclone Alfred in the cartoon. I've got to say, not wrong there. What a mess it is. The question, though, how many more storms can we weather under Albo?